In?
Yes, thanks. So okay, I've managed to start some kind of recording, and yeah, so nothing much. Well, I've got a wonderful gig at Actian, as you just said. I I build what we booked in our book, Eric.
I love it. I love it.
so
Well, that means
so
your next book. I think you're working on your next book already, are you
that's
not?
that
Data
that's
products or something?
that's confidential information, Okay. So of
Good
course,
thing it's not recorded.
yeah. Well, yeah. No, so like you. Okay, the thing is, when you started writing a book, it's difficult to stop. So you're on your second. I'm on my fourth. No competition. Uh, and it's
John and me have a few ideas to write some books, so we may try and catch up with you one
uh,
day.
yeah. So it's fun. It's the title of the book is very simple. It's called Building Data Products. So
Nice,
yeah.
nice.
So
Good news. So, what are we going to talk about today, John? What's on your mind?
Well, I love that um, Deidre's here from Dublin. I want to tell the stupidest joke I've ever heard about Dublin. It's the fastest growing city in Europe. It keeps Dublin in Dublin. Anyway, so that sorry I did that,
why did
Deidre.
we invite Canadians on this call? I mean, seriously.
Okay, sorry. I,
Like the whole conversation that Eric and John just had kind of has gone over John's head because he was focusing on this joke.
yes, that's all right through. Yeah, no, I just I've been working with a lot of folks at DAMA International. I joined the board of DAMA LA, Los Angeles, and a lot of data governance professionals. And what I am curious about from you, Deidre, as you see data governance evolving, I guess I should ask, are you part of DAMA? Not that you need to be, this isn't a recruiting drive, but
Yeah.
I wonder what are the themes that you see from a governance perspective that are really important? We had a meeting in LA about a month ago, and one of the themes was, and I apologize for bringing it up, AI and data teams. And so I wonder if there's an Irish point of view on how you're thinking about AI and data governance and AI and data teams. And one of the speakers was brilliant. He said, we as data management professionals have had a long history of thinking about principles of data management and data governance, and it was directly applied to AI. And in what he said, which I sort of took in as a manifesto or a mantra, maybe, or just a theme, is it's incumbent upon us as data professionals to share how we're thinking about principles of data governance and informing our colleagues that are addressing the same problem. And so anyway, that was sort of an interesting theme. I wonder if you have a point of view on that, or you've sort of where your head is at in that conversation. That could be a question. But any thoughts? And this is low key.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's like very relevant, I guess. I'm not actively a member of DAMA, but again, have the book, but dip in and out where relevant and where needs be. Um, with and also exactly. Should we all have one on our desk, don't we? Um, I can't speak
Yeah.
for data governance professionals of Ireland, but from my own perspective, it was really interesting actually. Kind of this week we had an event around kind of AI training and AI awareness within the organization and so on. And of course, then data and data governance being a part of that. And it's very much around like elements of things that we are doing and have been doing for a while that maybe were more at the back are coming to the fore. Very like, for example, the data catalog, the business glossary, kind of things that we have been kind of there documenting and highlighting the importance of kind of metadata, like that is our bread and butter and has always been, but now there's a kind of a spotlight on it and how useful that is as an input for the different models, but also then for the governance and management and the trustworthiness of the AI as well. So that's, I think, something really interesting and will only grow, which is great.
That's you. So it's I'm in San Francisco, so it's pretty early. I haven't fully booted the brain, but I really like the way you said that. Things that have been at the back are coming to the fore, and our focus on documenting business glossaries and all of these artifacts that have been part of what we've been striving to, get people to think about are, especially in the broad category metadata, are coming to the fore. I think you're absolutely right. I think, and I struggle with how to say it succinctly, but I think that's kind of what's interesting about hearing so many professionals talk about what they're experiencing and how it's affecting them. Because I feel more listened to now.
Yeah, it's like governance is a word that's popping up all over the place, really, and kind of seeing what that means in different scenarios and in different groups is kind of important as well.
Yeah. I don't mean to dominate the questions or the answers, so anybody feel free to put up your hand. I do have another question, though, if anybody wants to hear it. I was just listening to Joe Reese interview Stephen Brooks, and I think it just dropped recently, but I think most people know who Joe Reese is, the author of Practical Data Engineering, really sharp thinker and communicator on these such things. But Stephen Brooks, if you don't know him, he's been around for a long time, like me. And I remember meeting him the first time, and his synopsis of the history of the major changes in the last 50 years or 40 years of data is really kind of cool. I don't know if anybody else has listened to it yet, but and it might have just come out, but I recommend it if you've been around like I have, or you want to understand how we got here. It's an interesting conversation.
So many different podcasts like that, and you're trying to say which of the for my commute, which is the one I need to throw on.
Yeah, I have one question to Eric. So to introduce myself, I'm Venkat Giri. I used to work at Western Union. I used to lead data platform teams. And before that, for last 5 years, I was there. And before that, I worked at a consulting company based in Colorado. I worked at various transportation and then public-private sector companies, financial services companies for about around 20 years in the data space. This question to Eric is last week you mentioned about agentic AI in payments world, right? I think you have been doing a lot of work in that area. I was looking at your LinkedIn and posts and other things. So, maybe for last year or so, I have been thinking in the financial services world, we have compliance systems, right? A lot of compliance reporting requirements. And over the years, from time to time, I have seen these processes got so complicated because of the disparate data platforms. Some financial services companies still they are on HPNS, Tandem, and other IBM products. And then now with the cloud migrations in the last couple of years, some applications have moved to cloud, and then there is a lot of integrations between these systems. And during these compliance requirements, data integrations, data flow between these systems is a kind of a bottleneck for meeting those deadlines. You know how they have monthly reporting requirements, quarterly and year-end financial. So I was wondering, how can I end-to-end automate all these, say now, by implementing a kind of data product mindset for various reporting requirements, and then build these pipelines, and as well as the data for the data transformation. Build those. We have already those pipelines, but from time to time, sometimes one of the job takes a long time, and then that helps up all the other dependent processes, right? Until like 31st March or April 30th, or like somebody trying to figure out where is the problem.
Absolutely.
Right. So how can we, I was thinking like, how can I put together a framework and then start implementing this agentic AI to model or to kind of automate an end-to-end process, proactively communicate to the key stakeholder who is responsible for submitting that report in timely manner, and identify the bottlenecks even before they can happen, before they kind of appear on the screen.
Yeah, I think so. It's a very good question. We're dealing with clients that have this exact problem right now. So you're not alone, is the first thing I would say. And it's not necessarily limited to the payment space. We see it with a variety of different clients. It is particularly acute in the payment space, where I spend a lot of my time. But here's kind of the basic principles, I suppose, that you want to think about. The very first one is observability. Being able to understand what is actually happening in your system. And that, by the way, that doesn't mean you have to implement a significant amount of instrumentation. There's an 80-20 rule. You can get 80% of the benefit with 20% of the observability. So being able to understand what your processes are actually doing today is the very first step, because if you have that, then you can determine if you actually have a bottleneck and where they actually are. I think that's the first step. I think the second step is to be able to understand the business context of what's actually happening. So there's a technical context, maybe your DBT pipeline broke or whatever the case may be, or maybe your job scheduler broke or whatever. I think there's a technical aspect, but at some point you have to translate that into a business context. So I think the second piece of the puzzle is how do I actually, and I'll use some of the words that Deirdre mentioned, how do I actually build my taxonomy about what the business capabilities and hence the business processes actually are and link the two. I believe strongly that AI can enable that type of capability. And I think we're entering a new frontier around how to combine the two. So that's the high level answer. As you can imagine, anybody who's in the field knows that there's a lot more to it, and it's not a simple endeavor to actually make that happen. But as they say, there's two best times to build an oak tree or have an oak tree grow. The best time is 20 years ago. So you have the oak tree now. And the second time, if you haven't got the oak tree, do it now. So what you want to do is actually start to begin that process now. And like I said, you're not alone. That's the type of thing we're doing with a variety of different clients. So that's the high level perspective. If you're in payments, there's obviously some nuances to that. Payments deal with 99% of payments actually work well. It's the 1% that take up 99% of the time and effort. So we spend a lot of time on exception management, case management, and allowing, and these are all in my LinkedIn post, by the way, that we use AI to actually supercharge that process. But I think you can draw the analogy to telecommunications or data center management, whatever the case may be. The process is roughly the same. So I'll pause there. I know other people may have a perspective, or you may have some further questions I'd be happy to answer, but I'd like to give other folks an opportunity to answer that question also.
I don't care about agents.
And that's your first mistake, my friend. So let me give you an example of what we do with agents, just to be very, very simple and trivial. And this is probably the simplest use case for agents in the payment space or other space, is a lot of things are breaking all the time. Business knowledge is changing all the time. What you want to do is be able to capture that information and make it available. And the best way that we do it is we build agents. We call them observer agents. And what they do is they connect into whatever repository, whether it's a ServiceNow, Jira, or GitHub, or whatever the case may be. But these things are always running and they're always checking for things. And when something goes out of band, we escalate. But almost always the information goes into a repository, typically RAG or something like that, where it's natural language queryable. And all of a sudden, what you can do is be confident that you have up-to-date information and it's accessible in a way that people can actually use it easily. So that's probably the minimalist type agent view that we have. And those agents do much more than that. They use an LLM to aggregate information, translate it into something that makes from technical language, if you will, to something that a business person may be able to understand. So there's a lot of stuff we actually do with agents that are not what people are thinking about today. Chat GPT, and using the latest and greatest reasoning model. We think that's pretty heavyweight and it applies for some things, but there's a lot of opportunity for agents that I don't think people actually even understand quite yet.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. I don't think, we are realizing that what kind of AI engineers we need to be able to capture all those business rules into an engineering framework.
I think you're onto something, Venkat.
So I was kind of like, I was thinking to put together a team in addition to the technology folks who do you think I need to bring in from the business side? So data stewards, business process owner, governance folks, who else? Like I was thinking, and see, this is a mindset problem also, right? People are not able to absorb this, and oh, that is going to take a long time. We don't have that much time now.
Yeah. Now, I know you addressed the question to me, and I have my perspective. I know others on this call have an opinion, so I'd very much welcome. Who should we be talking about to elevate some of this?
I think you need the money. Okay, and I was kind of joking. Okay, so the thing is, I care a lot about agents. I'm just not very knowledgeable about them, even if I'm reading a great book about them.
I wish the recording was on.
I think I try to manage something. We'll see if it records actually or not. But the thing is, it's always for me. I mean, the first thing is you've got to get the money, right? So to any project. So you've got to you've got to be able to demonstrate that there is value in what you're actually bringing. Right. So if you want to start a project like that, which makes sense, the thing is, what does it bring, or what does it save, or how does it increase the regulation, or stuff like that. Okay, so it's usually the people having the money, okay, or having some kind of money. Then when the project is launched, okay, whether it's a business process owner or the data steward, you will see, okay. But the thing is, if you don't get business buy-in from people with money, I doubt it's going to go very far. And it's not a technical problem, okay. It's a business problem. It's a product management problem.
I'm curious, Venkata, did you ask that question because you were looking for somebody? You were asking the who question, who else can I bring in? Or were you asking, once you brought them in, what do you do with them? Or how do you persuade them or compel them to make the change? I'm wondering, what facet of the question were you thinking about when you asked it?
I mean, these are the key folks I thought about.
Yeah.
From a business process perspective, business side of people, whoever doing the complaints reporting, right, yeah, from the finance perspective. And then second one, governance. We want to make sure we are covering all the bases. And then data steward, right, to capture all the business rules and define this as a data product. Say whatever that end goal is a data product, and then capture all these so that when we go with the agent to, as Eric said, these business rules are constantly changing, right? So business owner and data steward capturing that somewhere, and then the AI agent can read those and enforce those in a timely manner. So these are the three roles from the business side I thought about. Are there any? Do I need to consider any other?
I would say, if you hadn't considered it, compliance or regulatory, right? If those aren't already in the scope of the people that you had identified, because sometimes the process owners are in the sales ops side, and so they need to be involved. You probably, to the other point, you have to make sure that the person responsible for compliance or reg for the report is actively involved. And that, you might have meant that when you say governance people, but I right. just want to point that out because, that's the thing. I just see we're at time. apologize. I need to drop, but
Me too.
thanks for asking a question, dude. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see you. See you next week. Bye bye.
Lovely to meet you all. Bye.
Maybe